Hello, good evening and welcome to the penultimate edition of Hardgrave for 2020. Yeah, one more week to go, and I've been looking back over the course of this extraordinary year, and I just want to say to you that really it's not hard to figure out that actually everything is linked. I know there's been all of this sort of confusing, let's focus in on the virus, let's focus in on the vaccine, let's focus in on the border closures, let's have a spat about this and a spat about that. But really what we've seen in 2020 is the year of the weak and the woke in the West. Meanwhile, China has just simply been strengthening its hand, and you can't help but realise that while we've been distracted, we've had people who are still running protests. They've been doing it again this week in Brisbane over climate. We've had all these causes. We've had people getting and taking a knee at the beginning of football matches, debates over our national anthem, debates over our national day, all these causes, the wokelings, day by day, week by week, they've been trying to destroy our culture, trying to destroy our traditions as a nation, the things that bring us together. They've all been tempted, tested and torn up in so many ways by so many of their supporters within our own ranks. Meanwhile, China, well, they've just simply been ramping up their attacks. Yes, I'm talking about wine. Yes, I'm talking about lamb. Yes, I'm talking about iron ore, coal, barley. It's all there. And why? Because, well, China has got a long-term plan, and China is a far more clever country than us. They've worked us out. They've taken the time to look at us and go, these guys really will jump at every shadow we cast on them. And yet, no one in Australia, in authority it seems, has actually taken the time to try and work them out. I mean, we had another meeting of this incredible boondoggle of an organisation called National Cabinet, where most of the premiers come together and they can't hold hands because they've got to be socially distanced apart and look like they're sort of sitting in some old Roman court of returns as their press conference, the media conference took place today. But we've never had a national cabinet discussion about the economic crisis, the social crisis, the national symbol crisis, the crisis that's being impacted upon us from external forces. And I actually think if there's a reason for it, it would have to be because Daniel Andrews, the Victorian Premier, is, of course, caught up with a great deal of empathy, financial connections to China. I guess so is the West Australian Premier, so is the Queensland Premier. So China's kind of got us hoodwinked within our own midst. 2020 should have been a year which saw the commemoration, the celebration of the 250 years since the arrival of Lieutenant James Cook in the Endeavour at Kurnell and Botany Bay and that great navigation up the east coast of Australia. The whole thing fell short. COVID killed all of that. Well done to China. The footballers, the celebrities, all of these other elites all around the world, all in the Western world, in the UK, in the US, all virtue signalling, all telling us that we must do this and we must do that. They live in this different kind of life, this different kind of world to most of us, and if they really haven't missed a beat in so many ways, flying in on private jets, being able to play their games of football, getting special dispensation to travel across Queensland and New South Wales and Victorian borders and Western Australian borders. But it's happened all around the world, in the US, the UK, Western nations. We have had our freedoms taken from us. Things have been lost. We're told face masks must be worn, but face masks are all part of it. It's to dehumanise our interaction. If you can't see somebody's face, do you really trust them? So I suspect now, as we reflect over 2020, a year where we should all take our 2020 calendars out on New Year's Eve and just burn them, hopefully to get some kind of cleansing, safely burn them. We have to try and work out ways to renew our nation. China has got on with the business while we haven't. We've had a process-driven decline in this country. We've had this managing of our decline. Process is killing our country. What we desperately need from our political leaders is a discussion, maybe at National Cabinet or maybe just simply around the Australian Government Cabinet, where there's less red tape, where there's more bold economic vision, including water where we need it, power at a cheaper price, infrastructure that gets the entrepreneurial class back into business. Because without all that kind of decision-taking, and that's what we desperately need, we are in trouble, folks. Sorry. Hate to ruin your Christmas. I've got my tree here. 2 weeks to go. Can't wait. I'm sure you feel the same. Let's bring the panel in. The great Bronwyn Bishop, former Speaker of the House of Representatives, joins us in Sydney. Daniel Wild from the IPA. He's based in Adelaide. And Carolyn DeRusso, she knows stuff too. She's in Perth. It's great to have all of you on the program tonight. I mean, Bronwyn, it's not an unreasonable proposition, is it? We are in trouble if we don't get on with the game of standing up for stuff in this nation.
Absolutely, Gary. Look, it's time we said it as it is. If something good has been produced by Western civilization, it remains good. If something has been developed out of our civilization, which is advanced standard of living of people, then praise it. If something has been done that has allowed individuality to flourish, then proclaim it. Let's stick to the truth. Not shrink away and pretend that there's something shameful about it. Say this has happened and it has improved living standards right across the world. I am so sick of hearing people who are part of this great culture of ours, to which we've invited lots of people to come and join us, that somehow we are something to be tormented or reviled. No, we've done good things. We've done things that have benefited people. Things have been invented that have enhanced mankind. Let's make sure we state it and be proud of our culture and our history.
Yeah, we must do that because, you see, Carolyn, I know you're proud of your Italian heritage. I know that. You know what? I have this kind of part Viking, part Scottish, part Irish, part English thing. I'm pretty interested in it too. You know, if you tell someone to change their culture, their traditions, you weaken that person. And you can't do that. We should be saying Merry Christmas. We should be who we are, but be it for Australia.
Oh, absolutely, Gary. And the thing is that, you know, often, you know, your heritage doesn't have to conflict with the Australian culture. You know, there are certain things. Certain parts of traditional Italian culture which don't align exactly with Australian culture, but you know, we came here for a reason.
So what?
We're so super proud to it. We you know, they all got naturalised when the family all got naturalised when they got here. All they wanted to be was Australian. All they wanted was a fresh start, even though they had absolutely nothing. I always joke that I come from the finest of the agrarian Italian peasantry, and we moved to Australia to move into the working class, which is exactly what they did. And there were Europeans, you know, across Southern Europe and other parts of Europe who came here with absolutely nothing, but they were so excited to have a go. And that's why they have always appreciated coming to Australia and being Australian. And look, sometimes it's hard when you're watching, you know, a World Cup match or something like that, but you always pick Australia.
Oh, that's all right.
But Caroline, the point I was making was talking about Western culture. Italy is part of Western culture. And it is that broader thing that we have to stick up for. That's what's under attack.
Yeah, it is. It is. And I mean, that's the point, Daniel. The energy and enterprise that migrants to Australia have brought, their personal ambitions, have rubbed off on society. Australia's had huge economic success off the back of that. We should be proud of that as a country. I don't get this kind of, we have to decline ourselves to make poorer countries feel better about themselves. We've got to get our country up and going the way our country needs to be up and going, or else we're of no use to anyone else around the world.
Well, that's exactly right, Gary. And what we know from history is that cultures and civilisations decline because of internal division, because of a loss of confidence, because of a loss of trust, because of a lack of knowledge of our history, our institutions, our freedoms, and our values. And you hit the nail on the head when you talked about managed decline. The issues that we're facing in this country are the result of managed decline by the political class and the ruling class. If we just take identity politics as an example, who is promulgating that? It's not mainstream Australians. It's the universities, the ABC, politicians. It's all of the main centres of cultural influence and power, big business, that are pushing this divisive ideology onto Australia, and it's demoralising us. It's weakening us as a nation. As Caroline said, the Australian way of life is about migrants coming here, putting down roots, owning a home, starting a business, that great egalitarian ethos that if you work hard, you'll get ahead and do the right thing. We know that small business owners are overwhelmingly of a migrant background because you have an opportunity to come here and get ahead when you work hard. And that is the Australian way of life, not being divided by our race, our religion and our ethnicity, which is exactly what the ruling class has foisted onto us.